All right, so now we're going to be looking at the different types of cells in the alveoli, right? So we can either call them alveoli cells, or another name for them are called pneumocytes. So pneumocytes are a specific type of cells that reside in the alveoli. There's three specific types, 1, 2, and 3, right? And each of them have a specific role in the respiratory system, right? So if we talk about type 1, so type 1 are these squamous type layers. This is the layer where of the single layer, or the simple squamous layer of the respiratory system where the actual gas exchange takes place, right? So this is where oxygen and carbon dioxide are being transported back and forth in order to create this phenomenon of gas exchange to take place, right? So oxygen and carbon dioxide change, and that's the main function. Number 2 is type 2. These are a special type of cells that secrete this chemical, this very slippery chemical called surfactant. Surfactant is this hydrophobic chemical that leads to a decrease in surface tension. So surface tension, what does that mean? So surface tension is where a tendency of molecules to bond to certain regions, right? So if we look at a lot of polar molecules like water is the universally known molecule that's polar, right? This polarity has to do with the abnormal distribution of charge, right? Unequal distribution of charge. And this unequal distribution of charge causes other molecules to be attracted to it. And so you have all these different kinds of bondings, right? So if I have my little water molecule here, right, and I have my water, and then I have my hydrogens here, right, and I have the partial positive here and the partial negative here, right? You see this polar molecule, and because of this polarity here, what you see is there's this partial attraction to the other hydrogens of the molecule, right? So you have other water molecules that are present here, okay? And so this polarity causes an actual change and bonding, which generates increasing surface tension, right? Oxygen is another molecule that's slightly polar, right? So it has a partial negative charge, right? So in order to decrease the surface tension, because you want the gas to very freely, passively come down to your body. If there is some kind of interference, some kind of friction that's generated, that becomes a problem, right? So surfactant is secreted because it's hydrophobic, right? This lipid bilayer where it allows for a decrease in surface tension to make this breathing phenomenon very easy, right? And so surfactant allows for the decrease in surface tensions. There is a condition called infant respiratory distress syndrome, right, where the baby is born without any active or actively secreting type 2 cells, type 2 pneumocytes. So the baby has no surface tension. Because of this, the baby cannot breathe properly. They can't grasp air properly, right? And so this is a very, very lethal and dangerous condition that needs to be treated immediately, or else the baby will die, right? And so just to ask you on a question, how do you think these patients are being treated, right? So the ones that survive temporarily, what kind of medication are these given? And so if you look at what IRDS is, so infant respiratory distress syndrome, and it's due to the lack of surfactant, right? So the surface tension will never be reduced, right? So what do the doctors do? The doctors supplement some kind of synthetic surfactant in order to compensate for this increased surface tension, right? And so, yeah, so this is the main function of this. And it's really dangerous, right? So surfactant plays a big role in a lot of other physiological processes in order to decrease this surface tension throughout the body, all right? And the third type of cell, let's put it here, type 3. Type 3 pneumocytes. Another name for these are just macrophages. So these are your immune cells in your alveoli. That's right. So what is the function of macrophage? Macrophages are phagocytic cells that engulf solid material, solid debris in order to protect either from any kind of pathogens or any kind of toxins or anything like that. And so type 3 are also known as the macrophages of the alveoli. And so these are the 3 specific types of pneumocytes, specifically alveolar cells, that are present in the alveoli.